wants some additional income? Monetization is coming. You got to do something. You got to do something now. ChatGPT is burning money. There is opportunities opening out. This session, I'm going to mainly talk about how to increase your revenue. Who wants some additional income, right? So, show you good additional income. That's what we are all after. So I'm going to recognize this logo. Everybody does, right? ChatGPT. ChatGPT has a problem. That's what all of you need to know. ChatGPT is burning money. They're burning a lot of it as well. So that's something everybody has to be concerned about. But usually when there's something that you have to be concerned about, there is opportunities opening out. And that's the one I want you all to concentrate on. So ChatGPT has 800 million users, free users, who use ChatGPT for free, right? Okay, so they're not making any money on it. Then you have 20 million users who actually pay the professional subscription, which is about 20 pounds. ChatGPT says that doesn't cover that 20 million users cost either, right? So they are really burning money. So that's a problem. So what does ChatGPT do? Recognize this figure, Sam Altman. He made a statement saying, I'm not very comfortable introducing advertising into ChatGPT. I don't like all these sponsored links, right? He's made the statement, something in those lines. But I think they're backtracking. And that's what's creating the opportunity. And that's what I want you all to take away today. And I want you all to work on, which will increase your revenue. And this is only going to be for a very short period. So make the best use of it now. Right. So I'm going to show you some statistics, right? Walmart, sorry, these are all US companies because I don't have the UK companies. Walmart, everybody knows, like a supermarket. They used to own as that before. 20% of their traffic comes from ChatGPT as referred traffic. Now, referred traffic is when somebody comes to your website, like ChatGPT, and they recommend Walmart, you go direct to Walmart, just doing a click, that's referred. But if tomorrow somebody sees that and goes to Walmart direct, ChatGPT cannot track that, right? So 20% of their sales, online traffic comes from ChatGPT. Then Etsy gets 20%, more than 20% of their online traffic from ChatGPT. Target gets 15%, and eBay gets 10%. It's going to work backwards. eBay, Target, Etsy, and Walmart. One big name missing here. And which one is that? That's right. Well done. So Amazon is not in this list. Why isn't Amazon in this list? Sorry? They do, right? But look, this is what they did. They blocked the crawlers from coming to their website. So what I want you all to do is go back today and ask your developers whether we are blocking any crawlers from coming from our website, because otherwise ChatGPT is not going to show you, right? So that's what you need to work on. So, but the impact of that, see, they blocked it on their own. 18% of their referral business was from ChatGPT. That dropped to 3%. Now that's 600 million products, Amazon products, now do not show in ChatGPT. Like Isaac said, they have their own AI. If they continue with ChatGPT, they won't get money, which they get from their sponsored links, right? So they have a reason to do that. But we mortgage brokers, we don't have a choice, right? Because we are not Amazon. We cannot cut off those people. So we cannot be blinded. That's what I'm trying to tell you today for us to survive. Because people today go to ChatGPT, ask questions, right? I'll show you what type of questions they ask as well. That's what you need to work on. Right. So they went, people ask questions like, what's the best headphone for less than 150 pounds? And the answer, obviously, is Walmart, right? We are looking at US here. It's Walmart. So what I'm trying to tell you is the answer has to be you. They talk about mortgages, right? So, okay. So this is one of the changes ChatGPT is doing. They've now introduced self-checkouts, right? So people buying something from Etsy, can actually buy stuff on ChatGPT direct, right? So that's the new change. So obviously they're trying to make some money now, right? So you can see that. What's stopping them doing this to other people as well, right? It says paying for this. They are paying for this. It's not free. But you today, if your name shows up on ChatGPT, you don't pay a dime. That's what you need to work on. And this window is pretty small, right? Because I will show you some of the statistics as well. Okay, so it says up there, so you will know what I'm talking about. So what happened to Etsy? Their share price rose by 15% because they are now showing on ChatGPT where you can buy products directly, right? Just imagine if you were the broker whose name was showing up, and let's say you plan to retire in the next few years and you want to sell your business. If your business grew by 15%, you'll take it, right? Because obviously you're selling your practice and you're making some money out. So that's an opportunity that you don't want to miss as well. So for this to work, you need to have structured data. So if you have, obviously I'll go through what this is. You need to have structured data. And for the structured data, if it works properly, you will be visible. Otherwise, you'll be this. It's invisible. It's there, but nobody can see, right? So that's what mortgage brokers need to work on today. Right. So changes are coming. Monetization and advertisements on ChatGPT. I'm talking about ChatGPT. Google is doing something similar, but I'm talking about ChatGPT now. So with ChatGPT, they've done one change. There's some leaked document which has come out from ChatGPT, which says by 2029, they plan to make 25 billion additional revenue. And where's that going to come from? Advertising. This year, they're not expecting any additional revenue, but next year, they're expecting 1 billion coming next year, and it's going to grow 25 billion. So today, ChatGPT is free. So they've introduced this lady who joined them. She's the lady who made Meta profitable. She's the one who set up the Meta sponsored links for Meta. And before that, she has a similar background. She's done this for 10 years. So why would ChatGPT recruit her? So you see what's coming, right? But today, ChatGPT is free. So let's work on that. So she is ex-Meta, which I explained, which Meta owns Facebook. You probably know that, right? So this is the new Facebook at the moment that ChatGPT is going to introduce. Right, so let's look at some of the statistics which might be helpful. Right, so the cat's out of the bag. This was built by using Google Behaviour 3.1. That's the latest version. It's quite nice, right? Yes, there's no human involvement. This is worked on a prompt, right? Obviously, there are some limitations in that you can only have 8-second video, but still, it's just loose. It's quite easy to set up. So 24% of users who use ChatGPT ask informational questions. And I'll explain to you what that means, right? Because this is what you need to work on. That's a rise from 14% last year. So people don't come to ChatGPT to say, can you draft this letter for me anymore? They are coming and asking ChatGPT questions. ChatGPT is giving you answers. And I'll show you those answers as well. So people ask long tail intent-driven questions, right? Let's not get too technical, but I'll tell you what that means, right? So I asked ChatGPT a question. Who is the best? Sorry, I'm a bit biased. Who is the best mortgage broker in Boreham Wood with excellent reviews you recommend? That's the type of questions people ask ChatGPT. Obviously, I'm showing up there, right? And saying why as well, right? They are going to ChatGPT for advice. That's what they are doing. So when they ask the question, unlike Google days, where you have search results showing up in pages and pages and pages, they're only showing 2 names. And you want to be in that space. That's the whole idea behind this. So, like I said, monetization is coming. You've got to do something. You got to do something now. So these are the type of questions people ask ChatGPT. What's the best? How do I decide? And what should I buy? So those are the type of questions people ask, right? So something in those lines, right? If they are asking for advice, if you look at this very carefully, this is kind of asking advice, right? Okay, so that brings up to the concept of GEO. So back in the days, we had something called SEO. This is kind of being replaced by GEO, right? Which is called Generative Engine Optimization. Putting it very lightly, we are writing answers for generative engines, like more or less LLMs. You're writing answers for them. So that's how you have to now start writing your articles, your blog posts, or whatever it is that you're doing. You have to sort of use that format. So why does this matter, right? This is the new normal. People are going to ask questions like this. You can have a website, it doesn't matter. But if your website doesn't show up in ChatGPT or Google AI mode, it doesn't matter anymore. You're not shown, right? You're not visible at all. So this is what you need to work on. This is the new normal. And it's free. I've been telling this throughout, but it's not going to be free for too long, right? Because you'll very soon start paying for that. Of course, we spoke about ChatGPT. Same principles go for Google AI mode as well. Today, the whole thing is what these LLMs are trying to do is they're trying to think like what humans do, right? What does humans do? A human asks a question, they give an answer like human likes to listen. That's what they do. All of these models copied this from another LLM called Perplexity because they are the ones who mastered this and everybody else is copying because they are seeing a lot of results here. So you need to start working on showing yourself on Google mode as well. Of course, this is a big opportunity for smaller brands because back in the days, SEO was for bigger brands because you had to keep writing articles. You needed a newsroom. All that's not necessary anymore. Remember we spoke about 90-10 this morning, human AI combination. I'm going to show you how this formula can work for you today. Right, so it's called a human AI combination, right? And it's creating you equal opportunity today. Because today, if you're a small firm, you can compete with the larger ones. And I'll show you that, how you do that today. So, of course, GEO for mortgage brokers. So these are the tools I would start off with. So if you're writing some article, what would you write on? The best source to find out what questions your customers ask. Like, for example, we work with a lot of skilled worker visa mortgages. You're working on that subject, you can ask Gemini, what are the most frequently asked questions, right? What's the top 10 questions? You can ask them. Write answers to answer that question. That's what you need to do. And how do you do it, right? You have the time, no, right? You're a mortgage broker. 90-10. Get ChatGPT to write the answer, right? You can get ChatGPT to write the answer. Of course, you can use another model as well. I'm just using ChatGPT as an example. But that's an AI written answer. Just be mindful. It's an AI written answer. AI understands that AI has written that answer, right? Of course, some of you humans understand that as well. So what you need to do is take it and obviously humanize it, right? Obviously, I'll follow some of the steps. I'm telling you this in general. So if you do that, you have a very good chance showing up in Google AI mode or ChatGPT, Perplexity. Everybody follows the same formula. So that's what you need to know. Right, so search engine optimization, I'll touch on it. That's the whole piece of kit that we used to have. Then we have AEO, right? So search engine is all about searching and search results. You know what Google does. That's what it is. Then you have AEO. These are answers for things like Alexa, right? It's like drag and drop answers. So I'll explain to you a little bit more as well on that one. And of course, you have generative engine optimization, which is that. So SEO, this is a wrong report, but SEO is all about beating the algorithm, right? That's what SEO was about. It was about keywords, right? Stuffing keywords, backlinks, metadata. It doesn't really matter anymore these days, right? So I'll show you why. So this is what's happening with SEO. I've just used one of these dummy reports. It's creating something called a crocodile mouth effect, right? This is what you need to understand. If you're following your statistics very closely, you'll now see your clicks starting to drop because, oh, okay. Okay, because, so your clicks are starting to drop. But on the other side, if you look at the top line, it's actually showing that your AI views are actually starting to increase. So typically, right business following the GEO practices should see a curve like this. So that's what you need to work towards. So this is AEO again. This is like a Google Home. You can ask questions and it'll give you answer. It'll say, okay, Wikipedia says this, or this website says that, right? That type of answer. But it's not as popular because a lot of people do searches on ChatGPT and Google these days, right? So of course you have examples. I think that's sort of that, right? So GEO is all about credibility and context, right? So you have to build credibility. And I'll show you that in steps, right? Because this is what you need to do. This is your homework. So if you look at sort of your GEO rankings, it'll tell you where you show in terms of Google, where do you show in terms of ChatGPT, where do you show in terms of Perplexity. So businesses have to start working on those statistics anymore. Those SEO reports that you used to look at before, it has very little value, right? Because this is what's happening. Overview is taking over and the clicks are starting to drop. SEO is still not fully dead, but there is still people who look at those links, but that's dying. So SEO is dying. This is the 4 steps that I want you to do immediately. And I'll tell you other stuff that you need to do in order to move up your sort of the GEO ladder to be seen, right? That's what you need to do. The first thing, Google your brand, right? This is simple. This is an audit for me. Google your brand and see what comes up. Then you run a visibility report. That's the one I showed you before to see where you sit in terms of your rankings. And then what you need to do is, this is something you might have to get one of your developers to do. In that visibility report, you will find broken links. You'll always find 1 or 2 broken links because it happens from time to time. You need to get those corrected because otherwise you might have your posts, articles, nobody sees that, right? So you need to fix that. Next, you got to demonstrate EAT, right? So I'll explain to you what EAT is because this is the most important concept I want you all to take away today. EAT stands for experience. EAT stands for expertise. EAT stands for authority and trust, right? Now, this is something AI cannot replicate. This is you, right? Only you can demonstrate this, right? So I'll show you how it works. So in the past, we aimed at things like SEO, where we have keywords, right? So this could be one of them. Process loans faster, right? But in the GEO world, it works in a very different way. It says average case time from 6 hours to 1 hour and the same day dip, right? So if you look at the answers, it's more like written in a human context rather than just keywords, right? So that's what you need to work on. So here it shows experience saying that, okay, these guys managed to reduce the case size from 6 hours to 1.5 hours and they got a AIP. So that's something that AI cannot replicate, right? So AI loves this content written by humans for humans, but for machine reading as well, right? So that's what you need to work on. Then you need to work on expertise. So expertise is to say that you actually know it. So this is, again, I'm using one of my examples. So how to use open banking, get the client's consent, connect via API and use. So this is something AI won't tell you, right? This is something that only people with experience have. So you need to demonstrate this when you write your articles. Then authoritativeness, right? Or I call it authority. So you need to make sure that your name is appearing on Google. I'll show you, or ChatGPT, and see what it's saying, right? So I'm just using my example. Obviously, Sherry is one of our sponsors. There's mortgage introducer there as well. So if you type my name on Google, I have pages and pages of my name showing up in Google, right? I'm going to skip some of these because we are running short of time. But but I also. Oh yes, that's right. So We got the videos as well, right? So this is just the pages. I think there's 4 pages there. There's images of mine. There's news articles of mine. It's all about me. That's what you need to build, right? Because a lot of people spoke to me this afternoon about building personal brands, right? So this is how they will find that whether you have authority, right? Because obviously the more they see you and the more people look at your video, they get the idea, right? Okay, this guy is somebody. So these are some of my short videos, right? So when you do that, you are giving the signals to those LLMs that you have the authority, right? So that's the important and the trustworthiness. So trustworthiness is always okay. So when you write articles or do a video, at the end you said your house will be repossessed if you don't keep up with your repayment. Now that kind of statement, you probably thought that doesn't really add much value, right? But in the GEO world, it does add value, right? So in this example, I've used always seek guidance from an authorized mortgage advisor, right? So it says that, right? Because you're not saying just buy from me. You're just saying statement like that. So that actually builds your trustworthiness, right? So that's something that you need to work on. So the best way to do this is to pick a niche, right? Don't go to say, I'm the best mortgage broker for first-time buyers, right? Because you're competing with everybody else, right? Pick a niche. I'll use an example again. We specialize mainly in skilled worker visa. So we write a lot of things on that. A lot of our videos are on that. We focus on that, right? Because that's the best way to get in, because you can be seen as a trustworthy source and specialize in that area. You can easily demonstrate your experience and expertise as well, right? So that's when you'll start showing up. Again, I'm going to skip this in the interest of time. Again, like I said, work with Gemini and ChatGPT to help you come up with these articles. So what's really happening is your words is now being replaced by your voice. So when I say voice, it's not me talking, right? It is the AI voice. And AI is generally after it. That's what they're after, right? That's how. So they're looking at your tone, your trust, and your real human language. So I'll tell you how you write your articles going forward, right? So they are interested in genuine conversations. They are interested in trustworthiness. That's what they are interested in, right? So when you write, let's say, an article or a blog, you always write it in question and answer format now, because that's what AI likes. They like to copy and paste. And that's exactly what they do in the background. And if they think you have it, they pick it from your website, they show it, and your name comes up on top. So that's what you need to work on, right? And then you have to have it in certain formats. Again, you have H1, H2. That means big heading, smaller heading sort of thing, right? So that's the format you need to write, because they like it in a very structured way if it's written in these articles or your blog posts or guides, whatever you write, right? So it has to be in that format. They also like FAQs, right? So if you go to our website, you'll see there's a separate FAQ section on a particular subject. That's something that Google, ChatGPT loves as well, right? And write like you talk. They like, because you're now writing for humans as well as machines. You're not just writing for a machine. So you got to write like you talk. It has to be very friendly and natural, and also avoid repeating stuff, because that's something AI does day in, day out. They repeat a lot of stuff. Right? So also have a summarized section on top of your article. Like, I don't know if you've seen, right? I go to HMRC all the time. They summarize whatever subject you speak about, they summarize it on top, right? Or if you go to one of those US channels, right? I think CNBC, they summarize the article on top. So Google likes things like that, because it's like writing an article for an undergrad who's just come and join you as an apprentice, right? You give them an article saying, okay, this is a 10-minute read, but can you summarize it to me in a minute, right? And that's that on top. And GEO loves it, right? So you need to work on that as well. So then use real scenarios. That's something that AI cannot replicate. So whenever you are getting these articles written, just make sure you bring in practical scenarios, case studies, bring tables, bring calculators, right? AI can't easily replicate a calculator. I made a calculator sometime back for a contractor calculator on how much they can borrow, right? So that's something that you cannot easily replicate. AI can't replicate that. And be transparent as well, right? Because you have to say where you got your information from. You can't say, oh, 78% approval rate, right? Where is the source? You got to cite that. Okay, if you don't cite it, they don't trust it, because anybody can say it's 78%, isn't it? So that's something that you need to work on as well. So how to outrank competitors? Now, this is a strategy I want you all to follow as well, right? This is what I do. Just go to Google, look at the top 5 articles that comes up on Google, and see whether you can do that better. So how do you do that better? You can copy those articles to ChatGPT and say, can you do me something better, right? And of course, add your human touch to it, add your experiences to it, and you need to be confident that the article that you've written is better than everybody else's one. So if you manage to do that, you'll rank on top of Google, hopefully, right? Of course, there's competition, there's other people doing it, but keep trying, it'll work. It has worked for us. I'm sharing my experiences. And link everything. If you're writing an article, if you have some previous article that you have, connect those articles, connect your videos, right? Because people love them, right? And AI loves it as well. So make sure that you put your videos, add guides to the same article. It feels like it's interconnected. Everything is interconnected. This is what AI loves, right? And of course, bring in some of your reviews, because AI again likes to see those. We can do that as well, right? So what's changing now? This is something you need to know as well. SEO's meaning has changed. It's no longer called search engine optimization. It's searched everywhere optimization. And that's what the new SEO is. So writing articles alone is not enough. You need to be on Google. You need to be on LinkedIn. You need to be on TikTok. You need to be on X. Now, I'm not saying be on all these. All what I'm saying is you can be on Snapchat, right? You just need to be visible, because that is very, very important. Because if you're trying to build that trust, AI likes to go to various sources and find whether you're appearing in those as well, right? So that's why you need to be everywhere. And the most underrated thing ever is newsletters. People forget newsletters. Because with newsletters, you're keeping in touch with customers. But if you take something like Instagram, tomorrow they can change the algorithm and you may not show up. But newsletters, you have full control. You still have that mailing list. So that is within your control. So do not miss out on newsletters, because that's quite important for you. So obviously, if you follow some of these steps, I'm just giving you the basics. Hopefully, you'll show up as one of the best mortgage brokers around, right? Especially if you're looking at a small niche, especially these areas work very well. Best broker in Surrey or Borehamwood. I'm going to leave a thought before Rosalia picks up on her conversation. Today, people have, on average, 11 touch points where they need to see your name before they make that decision. So just showing up on Google alone is not enough. They will want to see you everywhere. So I always use this example that Coca-Cola does, right? Coca-Cola is everywhere. You go to a sports event, they're there. In the bus stop, you get them. You go somewhere else, you find their posting. It's not like they're not known. They're known. But people like to see that before they make that decision. So to be seen in 11 touch points, you need to be everywhere. That's what search engine optimization means today. It's called search everywhere optimization. So be everywhere, and that's going to be your key going forward.